Utopias are commonly defined as idealistic scenarios that one aspires to. I like to think of utopia as an ethical practice that helps us envision in the present what a sustainable future might look like. So to me, a utopia that would likely become reality in the future is the restitution of indigenous knowledges that were lost to colonialism. As an Amazigh woman from North Africa, I see indigenous scholars, writers, artists, and community members from my own community as well as in Canada actively revitalizing indigenous languages and oral traditions, ancestral stories that pass down to younger generations. Spaces of indigenous knowledge sharing are created among communities that weave ancestral knowledge with a globalized and multicultural present, like using cyberspace, for example, to creatively connect pasts and futures. These initiatives are instilling a sense of pride in younger generations, and I think there is a very important step towards indigenous sovereignty. Which brings me to the next point about change. Restoring respect for humanity as a guiding principle in our policies is an important change to introduce in our societies. The current world order benefits from the suffering and the exploitation of many communities, especially indigenous peoples. Valuing materiality over humanity has created deeply entrenched inequalities and ecological crises that are destructive not only to us as people but also nature. I believe there is a fundamental need for cultural and political policies that are rooted in respect for human beings and their distinct realities, identities, and histories. The reparative possibilities of mutually respecting difference and the sovereignty of each entity can restore the balance that we lost in our societies and help us envision a more sustainable future moving forward. So, where do I find peace, given these challenges? Peace has always meant being home, because it signifies that closeness to the loved ones. Being far away from my family and community is a challenge to cultivating that sense of rootedness. It brings the question, can I feel home when I'm on someone else's land? One way of achieving that sense of peace is to draw in nature. It helps me reconnect to myself and focus on the most important things in life. I also like to write bits and pieces of stories that I was told as a child by my grandmother, so that I don't forget them. Ultimately, I'm grateful to the people whose land this is, that enabled me to find peace while in diaspora. Finally, about books. I like reading fiction in my spare time, so the book that gave me the most hope for the future is the Inuit collection of dark fantasy stories by Sean Tinsley and Rachel Kitswalik, called Ajit. This book expresses a vision of balance and harmony through Inuit legends and stories that shows how responsibility and respect anchors our being as people, where everything else could be unlimited, malleable, and expandable. Dark creatures, humans, and animals honor their relations to one another. To me, this underlines an ethics of sustainable existence that I believe is an important teaching on how to be human and coexist with others different from oneself, including non-humans. This book carries a strong message of hope for restoring Indigenous sovereignty particularly, and a sense of balance in an increasingly unequal world. Thank you.